Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
Welcome along to the Melchester Odyssey once again. And, of course, last time around we tried, with the best of intentions, to go through the 30th of June 1984 issue, which is in my left hand right now. And we didn't really get beyond a picture of Peter Beardsley in the in the middle. We ended up talking about the choke
in the car,
and all of that.
Yeah, we recorded a lot of episodes in bulk a few weeks ago before we went on tour, and then what happens is you forget what you talked about, and then it's quite a strange experience because then you go off, you're touring, you're busy, you forget everything, and then like maybe 2 weeks later you get sent a cryptic sort of message on Twitter and you go, what the fuck's this? And then you it triggers the memory of something that you mentioned in passing 2 weeks ago on a podcast, and it makes you laugh. So one example of that is like a few days ago, someone just sent a picture of a choke in an old car, and underneath they'd just written in quotes, "Pull the choke, not too much, you'll flood it." And I just laughed at that phrase before I remembered that that's something we talked about, because it's a great phrase of the olden times, isn't it? Pull the choke, ... not too much, you'll flood it. Don't know what any of it means, but you knew it was important.
And you can sometimes forget that it was even part of a podcast as opposed to just a conversation you had with somebody.
Yeah. Oh, I was just dreaming. That's funny. I was just dreaming about the choke the other day. I think it was a dream anyway. Good dream, that.
Oh, that must be the cosmos or something.
That was a good dream, a good solid dream. Woke up from that sleep feeling really invigorated. I had a great dream about the choke.
I had the Owl Price recurring dream again the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And I was back working at Owl Price.
Yeah.
And there was a problem with the shutter. The shutter wouldn't stay up.
Oh, no.
You press the button and the shutter would come up at the start of the day, for the start of the day's trading. And but it wouldn't stay up. It kept coming down, kept falling down again. So I get someone out to fix it.
What does it mean, do you think?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, shame, probably. Shame.
Probably
most of it comes back to shame. Yeah, I have dreams about old jobs regularly, about being back at them. And in it, I was at an old magazine in a dream quite recently, and I kept saying to the other people there, "Are you sure this is right? Like, why would you have rehired me?" And they go, "No," and they were sort of reassuring me, go, "No, don't worry, it's a good idea." And I was thinking, I don't know how this has happened. There must have been some sort of admin oversight.
Yeah, of course, Dream Chat is banned.
It is. So don't be tempted just because we've accidentally mentioned some dreams. Don't be tempted to get in touch with any dream data at all.
Recurring or otherwise.
I mean, I don't mind listening to your dream a little bit, Andy, and I'll tell you a bit of mine. But the worst dream of all, the worst dream you can hear, is the dreams of our listeners. Sorry, listeners.
No offence.
No offence. We do love you, but I can't think of anything I less want to receive than an email about what happened in your dreams.
Yeah. Especially if we were in it.
Yeah, I hate those ones. Even if it was a sexy lady having a dream. No, I still don't want to hear. Yeah. Still don't want to hear about it.
Well, maybe a little bit. So it's the 30th of June 1984 issue of Roy the Rovers. We've covered Peter Beardsley in the centre pages, sign please bit. And then on the front page, I'll just read the bit that tells us what's been happening. Whilst playing in a six-a-side tournament for Melchester Rovers, Roy Race became convinced that for some reason Carford City's brilliant midfield player Carl Hunt could no longer produce his best form. At Melchester Stadium, Roy was about to explain his theory to Blackie Gray with a video film.
Do you think Skew is having a bit of fun there by calling him Carl Hunt? Or actually,
Probably.
Skew's the illustrator. The writer is Barry, what's his name?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure who scripted them. Did Barry Tomlinson script them, did he?
I think so. I think Skew was just the illustrator.
He was the editor, wasn't he? But I don't know.
Someone's up to something, though. C.
What if
Hunt.
there's a writer's room?
C. Hunt?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
they did, because
hopefully.
what's his name? Conan O'Brien used to write for Roy the Rovers. He was in the writer's room anyway, Conan O'Brien, wasn't he?
Oh, of course he was.
He was in the writer's room.
That's right, yeah. So this is one of the... we've already covered this, I've just remembered, because it's the fucking fat buttons, which led to...
a whole button, another button-centric episode, yeah.
This is where it all started last time. We need to focus.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Don't buttons on the VCR.
Don't once again let the buttons distract us like they always do.
Oh, God. And there's a massive screen on the wall as well.
Oh, lovely buttons, lovely screens.
One of those big white screens. I've talked before, we used to have slides, a slide projector. So my granddad...
for when you've been on holiday or something?
A keen photographer, and he would get his photographs converted into slide format. I think he had to send them off to Kodak in California or something.
My granddad might have processed them because he worked at Kodak.
Oh, really?
He worked on the factory floor in Kodak. So that would have been interesting if it was my granddad processing your granddad's holiday snaps.
Yeah. Yeah, we had like slides of like holidays in Scotland where we'd just be standing next to my granddad's car, which is just parked on some grass in the middle of Scotland with some scenery behind it and the sun shining and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe a foldaway picnic table had been erected. Loads of that, and we'd regularly get the fucking slides out and have a slideshow.
To be honest, like when you're describing that, like no offence to your holidays or whatever, I'm sure they were nice, but like people now go, oh well, everyone's taking these photos on their phones left, right, and centre. It's so disposable. In the past, you took a photo and it meant something. You'd get it back from the printers and you would treasure it. And I'm like, no, it's better now because back then. Like, your granddad takes photos, like, let's be honest, from your description, they sound like quite shit photos, right? Quite boring.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you're trying to capture a beautiful moment, but you'll never capture that moment, like the beauty of that moment on the camera. It'll just look dull. And if anything, it'll make the memory worse. And then you spend all that, but then you think, well, I've taken it now, so I might as well spend some money and time on getting it fucking executed like in this really elevated way of turning it into a slide, and then you've all got to fucking sit around looking at it and it's fucking boring. It's better now that you just get your phone out and you go snap 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 snap, and then you never look at them again because you think whatever,
put that on Insta, that's a good one.
Bang.
Never gonna look at it again though.
I was in
60 likes, brilliant.
I was in the park today. I put this on Insta and the bunny rabbits are out in Richmond Park, right? Which I thought was a bit late, June, because usually you expect... I was trying to work out, I was thinking maybe they got born, like, earlier in the spring, but they're only ready to come.
Yeah, when do you get born then?
I thought you was born in spring, that's why they're always on the Easter eggs and that. No, a lot of people think that, but our image has just been co-opted by the Easter egg industry.
We've actually licensed it.
Yeah. We made it. We managed to. Our ancestors managed to align ourselves as a species for some reason with Easter, and no one quite knows why. And there's all this stuff about the Easter Bunny. It doesn't fucking exist. The Easter Bunny. Trust me, if the Easter Bunny existed, I'd fucking know. I'm a bunny. So they were jumping around, and I thought, I was on my run, and I stopped and thought, well, I'm going to have to try and get a picture of this fucking bunny rabbit because it's adorable, right?
Yeah.
So I just went, snap, 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 snap. It's very hard to get one that does it justice because apart from anything else, they're kind of camouflaged. They're colouring against the nature that they're surrounded by because, in order to ward off predators. And you can't get close because they're very nervy. You got
to zoom in.
So you zoom in, it's a bit grainy, blah, blah, blah. But nevertheless, I thought I have to try and do this because it's amazing. And if not, my wife won't believe me when I get home. She'll think, more lies. I saw a bunny in the park.
Rabbit on my run. Liar.
Pictures. She just doesn't even look up for her computer. She goes, pictures or it didn't happen. You're always lying about the animals you claim to have seen. You said you saw a pig swimming in the river last week. You're insane. You're dotty as a donut. So I took a picture, but it's a great picture, mate. If you look at my Instagram, because I went snap. Took, like, you know when you take like rapid fire 50,
yeah,
and then I thought, right, carry on my run. Look at them when I get home. In just one of the 50 shots, right, there's a fucking crow swooping over the bunny rabbit. And it's like, honestly, I might enter it for awards for nature photography. It was a complete fluke.
Nice one.
But it looks... I didn't even see the crow at the time. I didn't notice it. Because I was just that. And it looks like it's an attack. Don't worry, it wasn't. The crow just flew overhead. And then the bunny, in the end, I saw the bunny go down its hole. Right, so nothing. Right. There was no aggro, but it does look very much like the crow is about to like pick the bunny up and fuck off with it. Which
is that the one you've put on Insta? Because that sounds the best one.
Yeah, that's the one. Obviously, I didn't put the others on. That was. It's really. It's an amazing shot.
Yeah,
it's an amazing shot, mate.
I'll have a look later on. Cool. But I mean, yeah. You take a photograph then, and you'd hope for the best. You wouldn't even fucking know if it was any good, or if your thumb was over the lens or anything.
It would never be good, would it?
Blurred. How
many good photos can you remember that you ever took in your life when you were younger?
None.
None. I took a lot. I'd always be taking like disposable photos, cameras and that on holiday with me, and it'd just be absolute shit. And you'd send them off, and they'd come back, and it'd just be like it would make a good time seem shit.
Yeah. Which makes you think, is everything shit?
Is everything really shit when you really look at it in the cold light of day?
It felt good in the moment, but was it really?
Yeah.
No. Christ.
Just kidding myself on.
We should probably get back to this Melchester thing. Yeah, the big screen anyway on the wall there. And the VCR with the big fat buttons you've got to press down to make them click into place. Roy says he's got the videotape in his hand. I've always been a keen admirer of Carl Hunt, and I had him watched when Carford played Burndean last season. This is the video film that our scout took of the game. To Blackie.
What did you call it? A video? What? A video, Blackie. It's the future.
Right. I didn't know about any of this. How many other men have you been secretly filming without my knowledge? All of them, Blackie. Every game.
I film everyone all the time. I film you even when you're unaware of it. I don't care. I'm glad. I like the idea that you're always watching over me.
What's the Melchester Scout filming Carford versus Burndean with? What's his setup?
One of those massive cameras that they used to have in studios that is on a tripod and wheels.
What the fuck?
You know those ones you always saw them rolling around studios on if ever they turn the cameras around on like Saturday Superstore, and there'd be like quite old men moving around on things that they looked like Daleks, didn't they? I used to think,
like a big Dalek.
Why is he sitting on a fucking Dalek? That's the camera.
Yeah. Looks like a great job.
But Roy doing this feels very Bielsa with Leeds in the Championship, doesn't it? Which is where the Bielsa legend started for us. I mean, obviously, the hipsters have been on to Bielsa for years, but it was only once we found out that Bielsa had been sending people down. Yeah. Why were my scouts there? Because I spy, that's why. Next question.
That's what I do.
I always spy on the opposition. Why wouldn't I find out what they're doing? I still can't believe that that's illegal, though. Do you know what I mean? Watching another team train. How can there be a rule against that?
It's ridiculous. If you can get somewhere where you can watch somebody, then,
they don't have to let you in. Of course, it's their private property.
Like
they don't have to
spying on a woman or something, through a window.
Yeah, he wasn't. Come on, Frank. He wasn't trying to look at Christine Bleakley's knockers. That wasn't I.
That was the next step. You didn't find out
about
that, did you?
I always spy on an opposition manager's wife. Well, I don't have the time to do it myself, but I have a special scout on my payroll, and his job is specifically just to scout opposition managers' wives 2 weeks in advance. I make sure that by the time I play the team, I have looked at naked tits of the opposition's manager. And then I tell him, just before the game, good luck today in the game. And by the way, I love your wife's big nipples. What did you say? Oh, nothing. I get inside their mind that way, you know.
I don't do it to all of them. I don't do it to Harry Redknapp's wife.
I know.
No, she old lady.
That's not nice. She old. But some of the young managers these days, they have very good, very nice wives. I look at all of it.
Hey, let's stop.
Do you know what it's like though? That like, do you know, like, obviously that Bielsa spine, it's a long time ago now. Think of everything that's happened since then. Well, I was thinking how long this podcast's been going for, because, like, we were really into that when it happened. And that was like, Frank Lampard was still the Derby manager and, like, was considered a good, promising manager. Like, now, he is like...
Championship, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they got in the playoffs, and then they beat Leeds and got to the final. And I can't remember who beat them, but I was delighted that they lost. No offence to Derby, great club, but come on, you had Frank Lampard as your manager. It was hard for anyone to like you then, right? And that was all a long time ago. I think, you know, since then he's been at Chelsea, then Everton, then back at Chelsea.
Chelsea again.
And Bielsa's long gone, right? But what obviously appealed to us, the fact that he'd been spying on the opposition and doing it so flagrantly and not caring. And you know what I realised there was a parallel with? Glenn A. Larson, because Glenn A. Larson was he was the original Bielsa, because he got caught basically spying on the Rockford files and nicking the storylines for Quincy. And then, even after he'd been found guilty of it, he actually somehow got on the Rockford files set and sat there with a notebook taking notes. Fucking that Bielsa must have got his playbook from Glenn A. Larson.
From Glenn A. Larson, of course, that was when James Garner punched Larson through a caravan.
Through a caravan where an old couple were having their dinner.
Jalapeño. Jalapeño.
Please, can we get back on track?
Okay, yeah.
Roy says, this is a video film of that our scout took of the game, and I'm convinced there's a link between what happened in that game and the way Hunt played against Melchester in the tournament. Maybe Carl Hunt just couldn't be fucking arsed. It's a six-a-side tournament at the end of the season. Maybe he just thought he'd phone it in. Maybe that's all it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. End of the season, the last thing you need is to pick up an injury at that stage.
For your holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as the film began to roll, and we see a shot of Roy scoring a goal. Hey, Roy, you inserted the wrong tape. That's you scoring against Walford in the cup final.
Oh, you put the wrong tape in. Isn't that your Penny's ass? No, it's actually my ass going hammer and tongs. You can't see Penny because she's in front of me. But a lot of people, and I make no apologies to this, a lot of people, Blackie, have commented that I do have quite a feminine ass. But that
ass of a woman.
It's hairless. It's small. It's heart-shaped. I have my sphincter bleached weekly, and I have my arse cheeks waxed thoroughly every second day, Blackie. Can you believe that? Well, I'll tell you what, it's paying off whatever you're doing, because that is a real peach.
It's a credit to you. It really is. Thank you, Blackie. Now then, back to the film. He says, no, it's the right tape, Blackie. Darn it. Someone must have used it to video the cup final. And erased the Crawford City match.
It's a compilation of...
Never mind.
It's a compilation of Roy's best bits of the cup final. Oh, this. Oh, no. I've accidentally put the wrong tape. Oh, well, we're watching it now. We might as well finish it.
Someone must have used it. Someone. I wonder who. And he says, never mind. I think I could talk it through instead. What's the point of this fucking video not existing then?
Yeah, no, it's got to be part of it. There's got to be a callback to this, because if not, it's just like a waste of space.
Yeah, it's just they want to just show off Roy's video facilities. Never mind, I think I can talk us through. As you know, Blackie, there's always been a keen rivalry between Carford and Burndean. I know that, Roy. They say that Carl Hunt chose that game to turn on one of his most powerful and dynamic performances. His tackling was electrifying. Which begs the question, why couldn't he turn it on every week? But that's another story.
I've never really heard a tackle being described as electrifying before. But fair enough.
And we've got some flashbacks, which I presume are all in Roy's mind, because Blackie can't see these because they're not on video. So the frames are surrounded by the cloud effect, which makes it look like imagination. So Carl Hunt looks like a fucking mad bastard, to be fair. Soonest-esque is ploughing into some...
I've said before, he looks just like Archie Buchanan.
Yeah. Was he a good tackler? Do you know?
He claimed to be.
Claimed to be. I don't know what position he played in. Did he ever say?
I can't remember. Midfield, I think. Hedged his bets and said midfield. Right. Where did I play? In the middle. Midfield. I did it. Were you attacking on Venom? Oh, bit of everything. Yeah, box to box. Like Brian Robson. So Hunt is tackling this, fouling, and the player goes, "Oomph! Another foul. Hunt should have been booked long ago." And then Roy says, "But Carl has never been a dirty player. Fierce and committed, yes, but not dirty. The slide tackle that won a throw-in for Burndean was one of the deadliest I've ever seen." And we then see it. They talk about it now, years later, the slide tackle that won a throw-in for Burndean. Yeah. Les Anderson, Burndean's centre-back, came up for the throw. He took the ball well and was hooking it past Brian Fuchs when Carl Hunt came in at him. This feels like filler. I don't know what. Yeah, this has to be leading somewhere. It has to be.
It's got to be.
Unless, Andy, unless that it's such a novelty for them to be presenting to us the idea of video analysis in this era that they think that this is well worth, almost like a deep dive, because to a kid in the 80s, the idea of videotape analysis would just be amazing.
But the thing is, it's not video analysis because they've taped over it. It's just in Roy's head. We haven't even got... We've got imagination analysis. Can't see any of this.
He's just talking to it.
Blackie can't see any of this. It's just Roy's mind projected onto the page. No one who was at that game will forget what happened next. And he slides in on... I think it's the same player he did earlier on. He looks like a big Vic Guthrie sort of character who goes, "Ah!" And the number 11 for Carford. He plays for Carford, doesn't he, Hunt? We must get this correct. Yeah. The other Carford player is flinching at this challenge that Carl Hunt's done. Oh my God! Everyone knew, even before Les Anderson was examined, that the injury was a horrifying one. Please, nobody analyse this injury until he has been examined.
Examine him!
Let the examination commence. Hunt had to be rescued from the angry Burndean players by his teammates, which of course is now something that happens 3 or 4 times in every football match. But it was probably a bit of a rarity back then. Oof! As we now know, Anderson had suffered a triple fracture of his left leg. Triple fracture.
I'm triple fractured.
Carl Hunt just couldn't believe it. He has always insisted that he played the ball. Fucking hell. And we see Les Anderson being stretchered off.
There's so many names and people to remember. It's getting really complicated.
Yeah. And one of the Burndean players is pointing at Carl Hunt to the referees if to say, "Have that man arrested," or something like that.
Sliding tackles. I saw, Sid Lambert, who does what's his Twitter account called? Really funny, football, retro football. You know it, don't you?
Yeah.
He put one on today of Stuart Pearce in the tournoi, best tournament ever. Even better than Euro 96, wasn't it? The tournoi. Yeah. No, it was completely... Think how many made-up tournaments there are over the years, ones that aren't real. They're just like, they've been dreamt up by some cunt, right? Yeah. And they're so forgettable, you don't remember any of them. In the 80s, there was always things like the Makita tournament, wasn't there? And you just forget. But the tournoi in France in 1997, we should deep dive that. I know it's football, so it's a bit off-brand for us. But, if you think, people still talk about that to this day, right? And all it was it was a series of friendlies. And it was supposed to be, testing out the French stadiums
just
a year prior to the World Cup. But they managed to get good teams because it was Italy, France, Brazil, and England.
And us.
And England were really good in it, right? And... That's
why everyone remembers it.
That's why everyone remembers it. But it's also
nobody in Brazil remembers Latour. Well,
no, they do because Roberto Carlos scored the biggest thunder cunt of all time, didn't he? He shot from his own half for a free kick. He did a run up.
Swerved it.
He did a run up that started in his own half, and then when he hit it, it swerved 3 different ways. It went in, then out, then in, then out, then in, then out, and then the back of the net. So loads of great things happened. But Sid Lambert said, it's such and such anniversary today of this tackle by Stuart Pearce, which almost cut Roberto Di Matteo in half. And that's what I'm thinking, because it's exactly like this tackle that what's-his-name does here. Roberto Di Matteo turns the defender inside the box and he's just cutting back to, shoot. And Stuart Pearce comes into shot already sliding. Do you know what I mean? You don't see him running. You just think, this is a goal's coming. And then out of nowhere, you just see Stuart Pearce sliding at 100 miles per hour from miles away. And he just obliterates Roberto Di Matteo. But he takes the ball first, but then he does the follow-through. And Roberto Di Matteo is fucked. He's poleaxed on the floor. And it is a beautiful sight to behold. And I'm going
to watch it now.
I did think to myself, it is such a shame. Oof. It's a great tackle, isn't it? And it's not. It's play
it's
on.
One of them where it doesn't go right through him. He gets the ball and then puts the brakes on at the same time.
Yeah, so his knee goes nicely into his ribs. But there was that just stands. There's no stoppage. There's certainly no booking. Nothing. Now, even though he wins the ball clearly, so I think it's a brilliant tackle, but it's also brutal. That is 100% a fucking penalty. That isn't it?
Of course it is. And a red card.
It's 100% penalty and red. And it is a shame because sliding tackles, as Roy said, could be really electrifying. And now, as I understand it, I'm not exaggerating, I do think that if you go to ground at all, is that a booking? Irrespective of whether you win the ball?
I think if you lose control of your body.
All these weird things that they say.
Airborne.
You lost control. I was always in control.
I knew what I was doing.
Quite clear you lost control. You lost control of your bowels. I did not lose control. Believe me, I have never lost control of my body. I am always in control of this unit that houses my soul and mind. I mean, to be honest, it's an abstract notion. Do you know, he lost control of his body? Who's to say? What does that fucking mean? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Sorry to get football-y, but it is relevant because we're talking here about tackles in this comic.
Yeah. So Les Anderson's got a triple fracture of his left leg. Blackie then pipes up, but Anderson is still in hospital following a series of operations, and it seems likely that he'll never play again. Roy says, right. And I think Carl Hunt is shouldering the blame for the whole thing. Roy, serious face, almost to camera, but not quite because he's looking at Blackie. He just can't face the thought of another all-out tackle. He's managing to avoid physical contact, as in the tournament game tonight, and play enough good football to keep his fans happy. But I'm convinced he's got a hang-up about Anderson. He's no longer the complete player that he was.
Oh.
So, Blackie, so that's why you're resisting demands that we should make a transfer offer for Hunt? Exactly that, Blackie. But we can sign Hunt and have him hypnotised. We can have him rebooted in the head.
Shall I call that hypnotist we used for that other thing recently? No, not that one.
Not that. No, very different.
Never go back to a lit firework. That whole episode ended very badly. And if I hadn't had the fucking hypnotist, let's say, disappeared, by Vic Guthrie, then we would both be in a lot of fucking shit right now.
So they're now driving out of Melchester Rovers. The conversation continues as they're in Roy's supercar.
Can I have a lift home? No, you can't. But I will drop you on the A318.
At the services.
There's a services there, and you can walk home or call a minicab. All right, that's very kind.
There's a shortcut if I go over the back of the services. There's some fields, and it leads to my house. It only takes about 40 minutes. Yeah, do that.
Fine, whatever. I don't care. Shut up about it. It's boring.
He said, but what if you're wrong, Roy? Carl might be just easing his way back to his normal hard-hitting style. If so, we may see the best of him by the end of the tournament. Perhaps tomorrow night. Fucking hell.
I've lost track of this.
There's a lot riding on this tournament. Rovers' next match in their group was against Portdean. This tournament's taking place over a series of nights. The Soccer 6 used to be all done and dusted in one night, didn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think 7 till 11 or something.
We've said this every summer. Roy always fucking overbooks them in summer.
Engineers some kind of caper.
And it must always be that he's making something out of it. Because all they want they don't get many weeks. So they want to go on holiday with their family. And he's like, no. You'll get some time. You'll get a day or two before we come back for the new season. But I've signed us up to a lot of different obligations this summer. Obviously, there will be some matches to be played in Basran at some point. But the Civil War, don't worry about that. I'm going to have it put on pause when we get out there.
I've talked to leaders of both factions, and there will be a ceasefire for 48 hours while we're over there. So they're playing Portdean the next night. Beautiful stuff, Melchester. Portdean are working desperately to try and mark Roy out of the game. We see fucking 4 of the 6 Portdean players there, all around Roy. Continued later in this issue. There it is. 4th of 4. But not while he's in this mood. He's slaloming through the defenders. Scores a goal in what is a minuscule goal. Surely the Soccer 6 goals were bigger than that. Brilliant skills and deadly finishing, says one lone fan who stood behind the goal. Then it was Neville Jones's turn to get in on the act. Roy puts a cross in, which Neville Jones volleys into the corner of the tiny net. What a goal! He hardly had room to move. Already the Melchester newcomer had built up a small army of fans. Out in force, there's a banner that says there's only one Neville. There's another banner which looks like it says Nev's King. It just says Nev's Kin, from what we can see. And they're singing, Neville, Neville. Who needs Carl Hunt when we've got our Nev? Wahoo!
Always love it when they drop a wahoo.
Love it. As Rovers left the arena with yet another victory under their belts, they don't even bother telling us what the score is. It's just, it's a win. Blackie says to Roy, what's the next match, Roy? So I can put it in my diary. Carford versus Kelburn. And it could be interesting. Kelburn have included Les Anderson's younger brother, Terry Anderson. Oh, Terry Anderson's playing against Carl Hunt.
Terry.
Fuck. And Terry Anderson, look at him. Terry Anderson means business.
Yeah, he's a flaxen-haired monster. He's got a lovely head with blonde hair, hasn't he?
Oh, good grief! I see what you mean. And Terry Anderson is giving the fucking stink eye to Carl Hunt from across the pitch, and then this is Blackie who just says, "I don't think Terry believes that his brother's injury was an accident."
I think you're right, Blackie. Well spotted, very perceptive. Fuck me.
I think this is going to be very fucking interesting, Blackie.
Now, what you and I need to do is work out what our angle is on this. There's got to be something to be made out of it. The question is what?
I think we put in a bid for whoever wins in this duel. I think there's going to be some more on-pitch examination going on here. Amazing. So, yeah, that's it. It says in next week's action-packed episode, in speech marks, hunt off, hunt off. So Hunt clearly repeats what he did against the other Anderson, Les, on Terry. Oh, I'm guessing. I could be wrong. While Mark's at a 10 for that, I'm going to give it a 10.
10 for me.
Because it was almost kind of a peyote-influenced dream sequence.
It went all over the place. It was great.
Thing. And then with the promise of mega violence right at the end. So, great stuff. So that's it from this one. We'll be back, find out what happens with Terry Anderson and Carl Hunt next time. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.